Hi everyone, it's Marg Hepworth here again, and today is our very first day of lessons in lockdown. Yes, the coronavirus has got us shut inside. It's a bit of a tough time all round, that's an understatement, and it's a time where parents and teenagers can come together and actually start having some of those really meaningful conversations about how we can make better change in our world. Today is our very first lesson, as I said, and we will be talking about leadership and people we view as role models, as leaders, and how that relates to us. But before we begin, all you'll need today is some paper, you will need a pen and maybe a couple of coloured texters, and you'll definitely need your brains to expand your thinking. It's a time where I'm going to ask you questions or set some ideas going, and then you pause the video and you have a big conversation with whoever you're with at the time. So that might be mum and dad, it could be your siblings, whoever it is that's around. It could just be you on your own and thinking really broadly and creatively, because you're the type of person who wants to make a difference in our world. So let's begin just with this very simple thought, that when you stop and you think and you cast your mind's eye out across the world right now, where do you see ethical leadership happening? So where do you see the really great, positive, strength-building leadership happening? I'm going to pause. I need you to stop and chat and talk, and I'm going to pause the video myself, and then we'll come back to this in just a minute. So as you know, I run workshops across Melbourne. In fact, I run workshops in several countries across the world. And when I ask the kids in my workshops that very same question, where do you see ethical leadership happening? You might be very surprised. They tend to stop. It's a stumbling block. They usually start thinking of political leaders, and to be quite honest, in the end, there's usually only one name they come up with. Now, I am not giving my own personal opinion here. I'm literally telling you that as an educator, when I walk into schools to run these workshops, quite often now, I only hear the same name being given back to me in regards to ethical leadership. I wonder if it's the person you thought of, and I wonder if you can guess who it is. Well, it's this lady here. This is Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand. She's become a very, very popular leader in very trying and controversial times. I wonder if that's what you had. You can give me your responses below in the comment boxes. That would be fantastic. What we're going to do is a very, very simple exercise. You need to grab your piece of paper, and you need to simply draw yourself a circle. And into the circle, you put the name of a person. So now we're going to think more broadly. Anyone you've ever known, or someone famous, someone in history, who you regard as a really positive role model. All right, I'm going to let you have a think about that, let you have a talk about that. Now, I'll just give you a couple of examples to sort of get you going, but you can choose pretty well anyone, as you've got a really broad scope to choose from. So I might put in here Nelson Mandela. I might put in here Malala, right? from Pakistan. So I'm going to pause the video and you just have a big conversation just for 1 or 2 minutes. Who would you choose as a role model, as a leader? Current day, history, any walk of life at all. Doesn't have to be a politician. Could be someone in business. Could be a musician. Could be a family member. Anyone at all. Okay, so the one thing is, whoever you're working with, you all need to decide on one name only. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that. So how did you go doing that? Did you even have difficulty just making a choice, one choice between you? That would be interesting to hear about too. Look, I've chosen Nelson Mandela. So I've popped the name in the middle of my circle. And now I want you to keep talking, because what's really important here is to come up with 6 attributes or values, character strengths. What is it about this person that makes them a role model as a leader? So I want you to go ahead again, discuss this with whoever you're with right now, and come up with at least 6 points as to why this person is a good leader. And I want you to think really deeply. You might even have some particular examples from their life to use as evidence that makes this person a good leader. Away you go. You've got 5 whole minutes. Okay, how did you go? Again, what's it like talking to other people and having to come up, with a point of agreement about these things? Now, I'll show you what I came up with for Nelson Mandela. And again, please, put your thoughts into the comment box below. I'd love to hear who you chose and what you wrote about. For me, Nelson Mandela, I wrote honesty and integrity. He was renowned to be a deeply, deeply honest person, especially once he became president. The fact that he treated people equally. When he came out of prison from South Africa and was elected as president, which in itself was some kind of extraordinary miracle. Now, I was in South Africa just visiting at the time when Mandela had been released from jail. He was not yet president, but every single night on the news, they talked on and on and on about how this country might look. And they began their forgiveness and reconciliation councils. So I wrote forgiveness and reconciliation, and it's an extraordinary thing that Nelson Mandela built that country not on revenge for the people who put him in jail, but instead on the ideas of forgiveness and reconciliation. That is really extraordinary. He seemed to be a deep listener. He was prepared to change the way he thought about things, to change the way he did things. And I think he cared deeply for his country. So have a look at the types of things you put down. Just see if any of those are reflected here. You might have some other ones that I haven't put down. And again, I'd be really interested to hear what they are. What we're really looking at now is this idea of leadership. So we're not talking about actually the person that you chose, but the values and the attributes that they show as a good leader. So I'll give you an example. Only a couple of weeks ago, before the coronavirus kicked in, I was running a workshop for a group of Afghan women on positive thinking. And we did this exercise, the very same exercise. And of course, they chose a lot of Afghan leaders. So I did not know the names of these people. And yet, when we looked at the attributes of what made a really good leader, there were so many similarities there. But now we need to take this to the next level. Because when we talk about leadership, we can talk about leadership out there. Right, the prime ministers, the presidents, the CEOs, the principal of the school. But what we really, really need to address is leadership within. Every single one of us is a leader. And the best way to become an ethical leader is to look at the way we make decisions, the way we treat other people, the way we make choices about the way we lead our lives. We're going to talk more about leadership as we go. So the big question is this: if you put down an attribute, for example, that this person treated people equally, then I need to ask myself a really honest question. Do I treat all people equally? If I put down Nelson Mandela was a really deep listener, do I really listen to other people? Am I prepared to either accept their ideas, even if they're different to mine? Am I prepared to even listen to ideas that are different to mine? If I put down that he cared deeply for his country, in other words, he did things for other people, not just for himself. So again, is that me? Is that something that I do? Do I care deeply for my country? I'm going to extend that to, do I care deeply for our world? Do I do things for other people and not just things for myself? So our big question for today is that if we see these people as role models and we admire them for these qualities, are we aspiring to become like them? And if we are, how are we going to bring these things into our lives? So again, I'm wanting you to have a big old chat with the people around you, and just ask yourself that question. How am I going to become a leader from within? Because to change anything out there, change begins with me. I'm going to leave you to it for today. I'm just going to leave you talking about everything that we've talked about this morning. And I would love to hear from you in the comments below. All right, we've got lots more things to come in the lessons over the next few days. Cherry blessings, Marg.